Sector 3, the wettest.
Is more rain coming?
Negative. Just this. Hopefully. Let's see. Still raining in the pit lane.
Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut at the Australian Grand Prix didn't go according to plan. The 7-time Formula One world champion finished 10th in his first race with the Italian team. Hamilton described the experience as a big crash course after a challenging day in Melbourne. The highly anticipated debut marked the beginning of a new chapter for Hamilton. After his significant move from Mercedes to Ferrari, Ferrari fans had high expectations, but Hamilton's first outing in the iconic red car proved more difficult than many anticipated. The Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne served as the season opener for the 2025 Formula One Championship. Hamilton qualified in 8th position on the starting grid, showing promise but not the dominance many had hoped for. The British driver spent the first half of the race running in 8th position, unable to advance as he found himself stuck behind Williams driver Alex Albon. The race took a dramatic turn when a mid-race safety car period bunched up the field ahead of a heavy rain shower. Most teams made the strategic decision to pit their drivers due to safety concerns as the track became increasingly treacherous. Ferrari, however, kept Hamilton out on track. They informed the multi-time world champion over the radio that it would only be a short spell of rain. This decision initially seemed to pay off as Hamilton rose to 3rd place and even briefly led the race. However, the conditions soon deteriorated, becoming too slippery for slick tires. This forced Hamilton to eventually pit. In the closing stages of the race, the Ferrari driver was overtaken by McLaren's Oscar Piastri on the final lap, ultimately finishing with just 1 point. The race ended with Hamilton crossing the line 22.243 seconds behind winner Lando Norris. It was a disappointing result for a driver accustomed to standing on the podium. Following the race, Hamilton spoke candidly to reporters about his experience. He said this, "As per the New York Times, it was definitely a big crash course. I'm just grateful I kept it out of the wall." The British driver revealed he felt in the deep end as he had not driven the Ferrari car in wet conditions prior to the race. This lack of experience significantly impacted his confidence in the car's handling.
It's very tricky and went a lot worse than I thought that it would go, and the car was really hard to drive today. So, I mean, for me, I'm just grateful that I kept it out of the wall because that's really where we wanted to go most of the time. But
Hamilton also commented on the difficulties of adjusting to the new car.
But a lot to take from it, and also just getting acclimatized to the new power unit in the wet conditions, all the settings that it requires, a different way of driving, a different setup on the steering wheel.
He admitted lacking confidence throughout most of the race, explaining, "I didn't have any confidence in the car and was nearly in the wall most of the time." Despite these challenges, Hamilton remained optimistic about the car's potential. "I do believe the car has more performance than we were able to extract this weekend." He plans to make changes to the car setup for the next race, saying, "I've learned a huge amount this weekend. There's a lot to take away from it. I've got some changes I've got to make for next week, and I'll see how it goes." The race highlighted communication problems between Hamilton and his new race engineer, Riccardo Adami. Ferrari's decision to keep Hamilton out during the late rain shower proved costly. The team told Hamilton it would be a short shower, leading him to stay out on slick tires while other drivers pitted for intermediates.
We tried to, but I mean, the information I got was that it's just a short shower, real quick. And at the time, it was only in the last corner, so for me, I was like, the rest of the track was dry. I can keep this on track if that's all that's coming, and then more came.
Hamilton explained the situation. After coming into the pits and realizing how far down the order he had fallen, Hamilton told his race engineer on the radio it was a missed opportunity for the team. Throughout the race, Hamilton's radio interactions with Adami were notable. As he struggled to make progress, Hamilton could be heard repeatedly saying, "Leave it to me," to Adami after being offered guidance from the pit wall. This approach to communication became a topic of discussion after the race. The communication was fraught throughout the race, but reached a critical point when heavy rain hit in the final 10 laps. The teams had to make fast decisions about whether to switch to intermediate tires. Hamilton and teammate Charles Leclerc were told to stay out while the leaders pitted to change tires. This decision led to them eventually being forced to pit 2 laps later. losing track position during a safety car period. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur acknowledged the communication issues and promised improvements. Vasseur said, "It's the first race. The first time we have to communicate between the pit wall and the car, but we can do a better job to know each other a bit better." Vasseur admitted Ferrari made the wrong call on strategy and committed to reviewing the matter before the next race in China. He said, "For sure, it was not a clean one at all, but the strategy was difficult. Probably we need to find a better way to communicate between the car and the pit wall. We will learn from this one, but it's not an issue." He emphasized the need for better communication between the team and their new driver. "We need to improve the communication and to understand what Lewis is expecting from that communication. It's only in these kinds of situations that we can learn and be much better next week." Vasseur also highlighted the difficulty of the weekend itself as contributing to Hamilton's frustrating debut. The weekend was quite extreme for different reasons. The fact that Albert Park is not a permanent track, the fact the group is changing a lot, and the fact that we had these conditions, I think it's probably been one of the most difficult weekends to manage. Regarding the strategy errors during the rain, Vasseur explained, "It was a strange situation because sectors 1 and 2 were still dry, and sector 3 was completely wet, and it was a kind of a bet. I think that Red Bull and us, we bet on the fact that we had to stay on track and to wait for the last part of the race with slicks. We made the wrong call because I think the best option was to pit the same lap as Max, and we made the wrong call at that stage." Not everyone was sympathetic to Hamilton's challenging debut. Former Williams manager Peter Windsor criticized Hamilton's performance, calling it embarrassing. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Windsor said,
"In the wet." And there's a lot of weird radio transmissions going on with Ferrari as well, almost becoming uncomfortable, with Charles Leclerc giving his engineer a hard time for saying the water that you're feeling in the cockpit, by which he meant must be from the water bottle, but he didn't say all that. And then Charles said, "Well, yeah, thanks for stating the obvious." I know that'll go viral and everybody will think it's very funny, but I don't think it's particularly funny in the middle of a race when an engineer quite clearly is trying to help the driver. Anyway, that was that. And then on the Lewis side, they were giving Lewis quite a lot of instructions on how to try to get past Alex Albon to do with the DRS and various switches. And he kept saying, "I can handle it, I can handle it." Well, Lewis, you didn't handle it.
Windsor continued with sharp criticism.
And he never got past Alex Albon. And I think for a Ferrari driver to get beaten, admittedly in his first Grand Prix, but him to get outraced by Alex Albon in a Williams is a bit embarrassing, to be honest.
The former manager also questioned Hamilton's approach to team communication.
And I was a bit surprised that Lewis was taking that rather dogmatic approach on the radio, because I'm sure on the pit wall they were thinking, what is going on here? Why can't he get past him?
Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari came at the expense of Carlos Sainz, who despite strong performances, found himself without a seat at the team. Sainz, who finished 5th in the 2024 standings and was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race in 2023, moved to Williams for the 2025 season. Hamilton has always been motivated by those who doubt him. Before his Ferrari debut, he had a clear message for skeptics. He told this to Time magazine, "Don't ever compare me to anyone else. I'm the first and only black driver that's ever been in this sport. I'm built different. I'm hungry, driven, don't have a wife or kids. I'm focused on one thing, and that's winning." This determination remains intact despite the challenging start with Ferrari. Hamilton's move to the Italian team has created significant buzz in the Formula One world, with fans excited to see the sport's most successful driver in the iconic red car.
Lewis, a new environment for you, plenty of unknown faces, but you got Angela back at your side. How important is it to have some familiar faces around, and don't you wish you could have more people that you know around you in this transition period, let's say?
I mean, it's always important to have a good foundation of people around you. I've generally had a very good...
A 7-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton has made headlines again, but this time it's not about his groundbreaking move to Ferrari. Instead, the F1 world is buzzing about his reunion with former trainer Angela Cullen ahead of his Ferrari debut. During preseason testing in Bahrain, Hamilton opened up about bringing Cullen back into his inner circle as he embarks on his new Ferrari journey. Hamilton stated, "It's always important to have a good foundation of people around you. I've generally had a very good base for many, many years, so I still have all the team that I had last year, but I've brought Ange in on top of that." The timing of this reunion is particularly significant, as Hamilton prepares for perhaps the most anticipated team switch in recent F1 history. He's choosing to surround himself with someone who knows him better than almost anyone in the paddock. This calculated move speaks volumes about how much Hamilton values Cullen's presence. Hamilton and Cullen first joined forces back in 2016, with the New Zealand physiotherapist becoming a constant fixture in the Mercedes garage during Hamilton's dominant years. Their partnership lasted until early 2023, when they unexpectedly parted ways ahead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, a split that left many F1 fans confused and questioning why. During their 7 years together, Hamilton secured multiple world championships with Cullen by his side. Their bond clearly transcended the typical trainer-athlete relationship, as Hamilton himself emphasized when discussing their reunion. Hamilton said, "We have a great relationship, me and Ange. We've known each other for a long, long time. We've gone through a lot together." This statement highlights the depth of their connection, forged through championship battles, controversies, and the extreme pressures of competing at F1's highest level. After their separation, Cullen spent time away from the F1 circus, focusing on family and personal exploration. She took a couple of years out, and she spent time with her family and discovering the world. During this period, Cullen briefly worked in IndyCar with fellow New Zealander Marcus Armstrong, even admitting she thought her time in motorsport had concluded. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of this reunion story is how it came about. Hamilton personally reached out to Cullen, specifically inviting her to join him on his Ferrari adventure. Hamilton said, "Asking her to come and start this new chapter with me and her accepting it was really exciting. This wasn't simply a team hiring decision. It was a personal request from one of the greatest drivers in F1 history to someone he clearly trusts implicitly." The fact that Hamilton made this invitation speaks volumes about how much he values Cullen's contribution to his success and well-being. What makes this even more remarkable is Cullen's acceptance. After stepping away from F1 and building a life outside the sport's intense bubble, she chose to return specifically for Hamilton. Their reunion has already proven fruitful, according to Hamilton. "We've been having a blast. This past month together has been really awesome." The images of Cullen back in the paddock, now dressed in Ferrari red instead of Mercedes silver, quickly went viral across F1 social media channels. She was spotted at Hamilton's first on-track outing in January and remained present during the official preseason test in Bahrain. Former F1 driver Johnny Herbert offered particularly insightful analysis on what Cullen brings to Hamilton's performance. Speaking to CasinoApps.com, Herbert explained, "It's an interesting one. What Angela Cullen gives to Lewis is that stability, mental stability, that he has the right people around him giving him the right vibes that he needs when he gets in the car." Herbert's comments cut to the heart of why this reunion matters so much for Hamilton's Ferrari prospects. In Formula One, where the mental game is just as crucial as physical skill or car performance, having someone who provides psychological security can make a genuine difference. Herbert continued, "That's down to the relationship that he and Angela had before. I'm still not totally sure what happened when they split, but it's great that that relationship has come back." The veteran driver and commentator sees this reunion as beneficial across the board. If it benefits Lewis, great. If it benefits Angela, great. And if it benefits Ferrari and Formula One, brilliant. For Lewis, it's something fresh. This is something that's really positive. Herbert's analysis underscores a critical point. Cullen's contribution goes far beyond physical training. She provides the mental foundation that allows Hamilton to perform at his peak, something that will be absolutely essential as he adapts to the pressure cooker environment of Ferrari. The F1 fan base responded with immediate excitement when news of the Hamilton-Cullen reunion broke. Social media platforms exploded with reactions, with many seeing this as a master stroke by Hamilton as he transitions to Ferrari. One fan summed up the prevailing sentiment perfectly. "If anyone knows how to get the best out of Lewis, it's Angela. This is a power move in every sense." The reunion has been widely described as a calculated power move by Hamilton, demonstrating his understanding of what he needs to succeed in this new chapter. Throughout their years together at Mercedes, Cullen was far more than just a physiotherapist. She was described as Hamilton's rock, a close confidant who understood his psychological and physiological requirements both on and off the track. Fans believe Cullen's presence will help Hamilton adapt to Ferrari's unique culture and environment, something that has challenged many drivers in the past. With the intense scrutiny that comes with wearing the famous red suit, having Cullen's familiar and reassuring presence could prove invaluable for Hamilton's mental state. A fascinating discussion has emerged in F1 circles following the reunion announcement. Exactly how many tenths of a second might Cullen's presence be worth to Hamilton on track? While impossible to quantify precisely, this question highlights the performance impact many believe Cullen brings. Hamilton and Cullen's partnership coincided with some of the most dominant performances in F1 history. Now, as Hamilton targets an unprecedented 8th World Championship with Ferrari, many wonder if Cullen's return might provide the marginal gain needed to achieve this historic feat. The exact impact of Cullen's contribution to Hamilton's racing prowess remains difficult to measure in pure lap time. However, the consensus among F1 observers is that her return will significantly boost his confidence and overall performance as he adapts to his new team. What exactly does Angela Cullen do that makes her so valuable to Hamilton? The New Zealander fills multiple roles that extend far beyond traditional physiotherapy. She's been described variously as Hamilton's physiotherapist, trainer, assistant, confidant, and even bottle carrier. Cullen's background is impressive in its own right. Born in Devonport, Auckland, she played hockey at an international level for New Zealand until age 21. Before joining Hamilton's team, she worked at the English Institute of Sport in London as a senior physiotherapist, building expertise that would later benefit the F1 champion. In an Instagram post honoring Cullen after their 2023 separation, Hamilton revealed that she had helped him become a better version of himself, a profound acknowledgement of her impact on his life and career. During race weekends, Cullen's presence was constant. She was typically the first person Hamilton would see in the morning and the last person he'd speak with before getting into the car. Her role encompassed physical preparation, mental support, logistics management, and being a buffer between Hamilton and the outside world when needed. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari has become the focal point of Formula One discussions. The 7-time world champion's decision to leave Mercedes after 12 seasons has sparked intense interest. Valtteri Bottas, Hamilton's former teammate, has shared his thoughts on this significant career shift. Bottas, who partnered with Hamilton at Mercedes from 2017 to 2021, believes this move could reinvigorate Hamilton's championship aspirations. In a recent interview with Sky Sports, Bottas expressed his views on Hamilton's motivation and the potential outcomes of this transition. Bottas stated,
I think he's highly motivated for the year. It's something new and refreshing for him, which it can be a good trigger sometimes, but
This comment suggests that the change of environment could provide Hamilton with a fresh perspective and renewed energy. Hamilton's decision to join Ferrari follows a challenging period with Mercedes. The introduction of new ground effect regulations in 2022 presented significant obstacles for the team. The Mercedes W13 and W14 cars failed to provide Hamilton with the confidence he had during his dominant years. Despite occasional strong performances, Hamilton struggled to adapt to the new machinery. The difficulties were so severe that Hamilton reportedly considered retiring from the sport. This context shows the significance of his move to Ferrari. It represents not just a change of team, but potentially a rekindling of his passion for racing. Bottas's comments indicate his belief that this fresh start could be beneficial for Hamilton. The Finnish driver's close working relationship with Hamilton during their time as teammates lends credibility to his assessment. However, Bottas also highlighted an intriguing aspect of Hamilton's move to Ferrari. The dynamic between Hamilton and his new teammate Charles Leclerc. Bottas said, but also keen to see how they get on with Charles. This statement introduces an element of anticipation about how these two top-tier drivers will coexist within the same team. Bottas's observation touches on a crucial aspect of Formula One team dynamics. Ferrari has faced challenges in managing two-star drivers simultaneously. The team has experienced internal rivalries from Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa to more recent tensions between Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc, and even between Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Leclerc, who joined Ferrari in 2019, was widely regarded as the future leader of the team. Hamilton's arrival inevitably alters this dynamic. The question now is how Ferrari will manage these two exceptional talents Will they compete on equal terms, or will Hamilton's status as a 7-time world champion influence the team's strategy? These questions add complexity to the upcoming Formula One season. The Hamilton-Leclerc partnership has the potential to be one of the most formidable driver lineups in recent F1 history,